All right, NAIA football fans, this is Corey Thorpe back with another edition of the NAIF Ball Live Show, powered by AdCraft Custom Apparel and Merch, your custom apparel, merch, and uniform experts since 1974. The best in the business. You hear us say it every week. You definitely should check them out. Go chat with them about getting a web store for your team, raise money, get your gear in the hands of your fans. It's the best way to do it. Back with Matt Schwartzler for another week. I know we sort of kind of hinted at having some chaos last week, but man, I didn't quite expect this level of chaos.
Yeah, it was an insane week, I think, to put it very lightly, across the board at the NAIA. A lot of teams moving up and down, a lot of teams that we thought were dead that are back to life, and a lot of teams that we thought were alive that are now dead, and et cetera, et cetera. It's a wild one.
It definitely is, and it definitely it's odd because the chaos happened all over, but man, the like 5 teams, like 20 to 25, and the 5 teams 26 to 30, they're just in constant flux. But let's get to it here. We were just talking about this off air before we went live. Reinhardt, Georgetown. Georgetown just comes out absolutely flat. Garrick Sluniker just cannot get anything going through the air, throws 2 picks in the waning moments on not great reads. A great day for the Reinhardt defense. I mean, you get a scoop and score and 4 picks. I mean, can you ask for anything more?
Not really. And obviously, this is a fantastic win for a Reinhardt squad that kind of fell off the map at the beginning of the season and didn't have the start that they would have liked. Obviously, this Georgetown team, it says 11th ranked in our poll. Me and Corey were both very high on this team going into the season. We both had them in our top 5 going into this week. Just a very good roster build, great coaching all around, just a fantastic team with a stout defense. Couldn't get it done against Reinhardt. It was honestly shocking with the way that Reinhardt opened the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, if you're Reinhardt, you lose to Southeastern. You lose to, I think it was who was it, Lindsay, or something like. No, it was Cumberland's. And
Yeah, I think so.
Oh man, then you come back and you do this. You've got to establish some sort of consistency if you're Reinhardt. You can't be 2 down or 2 up. And Reinhardt gets back into the top 25 this week in the NAIA poll. Obviously, we'll see a little later on if they make it back up in our poll, but the coaches have always been very high on Reinhardt, at least this season.
Yeah, that's. I mean, they've been good for a while, so it makes sense. But just a crazy game.
Next game up on the docket is Baker Graceland. Graceland with its 2nd loss in a row. This week there's not 200 yards of penalties to look at to explain it, but man, I got to tell you that Baker defense, even though there's 42 points on the scoreboard, they still came to play. 2 forced fumbles, 2 picks, 4 sacks, 9 tackles for a loss, consistently putting that Graceland offense behind the chains and forcing it to try to make big plays.
Yeah, and this is a Baker squad that I was really excited about going into this season. Obviously, a loss to Grandview on their schedule is kind of the only blemish on their record so far, which I don't even think is that much of a disservice to them. Getting it done against Graceland, who had a lot of momentum going into this game. Obviously, they lost the week before, but had started the season out really strong. Baker's defense, like you mentioned, yes, they gave up 42 points, but they showed up when it mattered. Forcing turnovers does a lot to the psyche of an offense. So being able to get that done, get the ball in the hands of Truman Yulesgaard, who throws for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. It is no small accomplishment.
He's been really good this year. This is like at least the second time Yulesgaard's thrown 4 touchdowns. That's a name to watch there in the Heart.
Yeah, And on 16 pass attempts too. That's kind of wild.
Yes. A quarter of your completed passes were touchdowns. Yeah. That'll do. That'll do.
That'll do it.
The next up, man, this was a great back and forth game between Montana Tech and College of Idaho. No one really had a huge advantage in this game. College of Idaho was down a little bit early, but comes back late, makes it happen. Andy Peters gets it done on the ground with 56 yards, 354 yards through the air. Blake Thielen has 361 yards on 17 to 27 passing. You want to talk about a good yards per attempt number there. You're going to get that there. And honestly, at the end of the day, I feel like this is down to two teams. One who converted their late down and distance conversions, and one who did not.
Yeah, I mean it's a game of inches on a lot of these frontier games, and things like getting the ball to convert on third down is just what you need to win the game, to pull away in games like these. Obviously, this was a fantastic quarterback duel from both of these squads, and obviously Montana Tech getting it more done on the ground than College of Idaho, but Lander Smith, 101 yards and a touchdown on 24 attempts, plus a quarterback that throws for 361 yards will do the trick most times.
That will get it done. Southeastern drops an overtime matchup to Faulkner. Honestly, Faulkner had I think it was a 7-0 lead for what felt like forever. You go to the fourth quarter, it's still like 7-0. Everyone scores there, makes it 13-13. And Faulkner gets it done, but I tell you, you look at that time of possession, and Faulkner controlled basically 3/5 of this game.
Yeah, it's it's an ugly win, but it is a win. And Faulkner, who definitely struggled for the first couple of games of the season, gets a very important staple win on their resume. And I think you have the ball for 3/4 of the game, that's going to set you up for success. And Southeastern just could not keep the ball in their own hands, which was ultimately their downfall in this one.
9 of 24 on third and fourth down conversions for the Fire. Then the game we were all waiting for, and we had been waiting for, St. Thomas Tex West, and that scoreline might say 18, but I'm here to tell you, Texas Wesleyan scored a couple late touchdowns. This one was not that close. St. Thomas had the momentum from the word go. 5 sacks, 12 tackles for loss, completely disrupting Ernie Caesar, the all-world running back, only looking at like 4 yards per carry instead of 5 or 6.
Yeah, but I'll tell you who was an all-world running back, Rontavious Farmer, with 3 touchdowns and 156 yards. Are you kidding me? We knew this guy's good. He's been putting up good numbers all year, but to show out in a game like this that St. Thomas really had to win to prove a point to the rest of the NAIA, like, no better time to get that done.
It's a great game. I mean, you dropped one against Carroll, a close one up in Helena. You go out to Fort Worth. You get it done against Tex West. Really, I mean, I totally applaud both teams for making this happen. It's a fantastic game.
100%.
And it's one that between these two schools, you had to play just so that you could show a tough out-of-conference schedule so that when we go to the end of the year, we start looking at out-of-conference resumes as a possible at-large bid. If you don't lock in your Sun Conference, which, you know, St. Thomas definitely still can do that, but if you don't lock that in, you want to have something to fall back on. St. Thomas falls just shy last year. I think the schedule this year proves that they're going to be able to get it done.
I think they'll be just fine.
Especially going to 20, that really does help.
Yeah, 100%. So, credit, yeah, like you said, credit to both teams because they looked great.
Last week, Moval took down Graceland. This year, Grandview showed who was boss. Good night, Irene.
Yeah, you know, kudos to Missouri Valley for the season they've had so far and the start that they've gotten out to. You just happen to run into a brick wall, and there's nothing we can fault you for there. Grandview looking as dominant as ever. 10 tackles for loss, 4 interceptions, and 4 sacks on the day. That is causing problems, to put it lightly, for an offense. And obviously, what's up?
Yeah, one thing I do want to point out, and I think you're about to go there. Jackson Waring, that is not a misprint.
Yeah.
That is 12 of 12. The man did not throw an incomplete pass.
Perfect on the day with 251 yards and 3 touchdowns. That'll cause some issues for defense.
Yeah, that'll do, Pig. Jeremiah Bryant, the leading rusher and receiver on the game for Moval. It has been a good season for Moval. Moval has not been a great team since we've started this. Definitely a historic team, but has not been a good team as of late. 3-1 for Moval is a really nice start to the season. I don't think there's any shame in running into the buzzsaw that's Grandview, whose offense is just on another doggone level this year.
Yeah, and if you're Moval, it's early enough in the season to where you can kind of get your bearings back and figure out what went wrong and finish strong the rest of the season. There's still a lot of season left, and they're off to a good start. So I think this is more of Grandview being Grandview than Missouri Valley, not being good.
Right. And in the last game, we had asked the question, could this be the year that Midland gets over the hump and maybe is able to beat Morningside? And the answer to that is an absolutely resounding no.
Yeah, Morningside being Morningside, getting it done against Midland, who has always been kind of that tier 2 of the GPAC, trying to nip at the heels of the Dorts and the Northwesterns and the Morningsides of the world. It's clear that this season they are not there yet. Obviously, Midland also coming off of back-to-back losses, which is not ideal for them. They got to figure something out, but they have enough talent to do it. Tariq Brown and Garrison Beach still having a decent day, both having 2 touchdowns passing and receiving, but 7 for 18 on 3rd and 4th down, and giving over the ball 4 times is not going to help you out that much.
And do you know what Midland gets as a reward for getting beaten by 31 points?
What do they get?
They get to go play Northwestern.
No breathing room there.
Yeah, it's like, all right, put on your big boy pants and see if we can get this one.
Yeah, Morningside is still Morningside. Lennox Brown obviously being the guy to get it done for them on the stat sheet. Anyways, I'm pretty sure they still ran 2 quarterbacks.
They did,
but they're still looking good. They're still Morningside, so they'll be good until whenever they feel like not being good. So
October, when they go play Dorton Northwestern, will be the true test.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Cash Parker and Lennox Brown, that's been the strangest thing for me, has been watching Morningside run a 2 quarterback system. Ever since we've been doing this, we have seen Morningside have a generational talent at quarterback, and watching them run a 2 quarterback system is, I'm not going to lie, really freaking weird.
Yeah, but they clearly still make it work.
They clearly still make it work. So let's see where everyone shakes out here, and it is a bit of an oddity of a top 25, because our top 25 has 27.
Naturally,
we have a 3-way tie for 25th, because of course we do. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. I definitely think I can't think of a team in here that does not deserve to be in the top 25.
100%. I think Baker too. I think we punished them a bit more for that Grandview loss than we should have. But I'm glad to see that they are making an appearance here. But I mean, yeah, these are all really good football teams. Like the back 10, I guess 12, since it's 2 extra teams. on this top 25 are really good and would all play each other very closely, and I'd be excited to see that.
Now,
So
bring your attention to the fact that those last 5 teams, 23 through 25, are only separated by 1 point within 5 teams. I mean, we've got some really tight ones here. I mean, Evangeline Georgetown at 45-43, Rocky Mountain Concordia 58-57, Grandview Morningside even at 160-157, Indiana Wesleyan at 155. Montana Tech and Dordt at 102-101. There's definitely there's absolutely some fighting room here. And I still don't think 5 weeks in that we've settled on our top on 25 teams or even 27 teams at this juncture. I don't think that's settled itself out yet.
no, and there's still so much conference play left to go and so many tight matchups between teams that are so close in the rankings. We're probably not going to get that until we get a couple weeks out from the playoffs, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah, and at that time we'll have to start talking bubble. One thing I do want to mention is I think Louisiana Christian in the coaches poll is at 27. I know they haven't played Tex West yet. I know they haven't played Ottawa yet. But, I mean, look at that. They're sitting 19-19-21 between Ottawa, Tex West, and LC. That tells you that the voters believe that the Sooner is a 3-way race.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when isn't the Sooner a 3-way race, if we're going to be completely honest? It always seems we have 3 teams that are at the end of the day trying to figure out what the flippin' tiebreaker rules are for the Sooner.
Louisiana Christian, get ready to look at your rule books.
Absolutely.
You'll need them.
Absolutely. We'll see because, we know good and well. I mean, Tex West has that win over Ottawa. We know what's going to happen. Louisiana Christian's going to beat Tex West, and Ottawa's going to beat Louisiana Christian. That's going to be the only loss that any team has.
Naturally.
We know what's going to happen. It's the only way it can happen, honestly. But we're going to step aside here, and we'll be back with more on the NAIAF Ball Live Show.
So you want to create and sell custom merch for your team or business. That's exciting, but where do you begin? How much inventory should you order? How do you distribute orders? AdCraft has your answers. Streamline the way you offer custom merch by utilizing our risk-free web store service. We ship directly to each customer, and we have the fastest turnaround in the game. Raise funds for your team or get merch to your employees and patrons. Contact AdCraft today, and let's bring your merch to life.
That's exactly what they do. They bring your ideas to life, getting them out to your fans via the web store. Contact them today. Fantastic mechanism for running a shipping service is hard. Making sure that your online store is exactly Division I quality is hard at this level. Let AdCraft take care of that Division I level customer service and web store for you. Give them a call. You will not be dissatisfied. And as we go, it's we're going to show last week's play of the week. Not the same one, but the one from last week, gotten a little later. Unfortunately, just could not catch up with the broadcast I wanted for the play of the week. So I'm going to have to go back through the box scores and find it. But I tell you, there's nothing like a point after touchdown return to get the juices flowing. So
nothing like it.
Here it is from Texas Wesleyan, Oklahoma Panhandle State. And I want you to just watch his top speed. Stops a little bit here, but this man is about to get going here for Tex West, hitting the 20-mile-an-hour mark.
Oh, man.
A 98.5. yard return.
Didn't even need to do that. There's nobody around him, but hey, it's a good play.
It is a great play. I love the little ones
great.
like that. It's fantastic. Makes me laugh.
Yes, most definitely.
We are so thankful to Connor Darnell Designs. Connor does our graphics every week. If you need a commit edit, if you want to start looking ahead for basketball, for baseball season, to get a well-designed, professionally designed schedule, graphic, and poster out there, the bag tags, he does a great job with them, getting your team set up. Don't get your bags lost when you're going on flights and out of conference. Get with Connor. He'll get you taken care of. Let him know that we sent you. And as for our what to watch for, 4 games here, 4 extremely close on paper matchups. Well, 3 extremely close ones and 1 top 25 matchup. Tied for 25th St. Xavier at tied for 25th St. Francis of Illinois. Can you get any closer in the rankings?
Don't think so. I think this is a nice point for us in the season because it's like, okay, we get to get some of these matchups out of the way. A lot of question marks are going to go away. And obviously with St. Xavier and St. Francis taking each other on, I always feel like they are similar and close in the rankings most years anyways. So it's nice to get this one done.
This has been the matchup that has decided the MSFA Midwest the last 2 years, and they've actually the last 3 years, and they've decided it the last 3 years, the last game of the year. Right now, St. Francis is the only team with a conference win, according to the MSFA website. So this will be St. Xavier's first conference matchup, and it could very well end up being the one that decides it all.
I think so, and I think this is a matchup you're looking at on the bubble or getting into an automatic bid. And like obviously these teams, if they don't get the automatic bid, will be on the bubble anyways. So it's a lot at stake here in September.
Go down to the next one. This is also an extremely important game. Number 14, College of Idaho. Number 15, Rocky Mountain. We know that the Frontier is a dog-eat-dog conference. Montana Tech and College of Idaho are both 3-1 in conference, as are Montana Western and Rocky Mountain. So you have 4 teams there at 3-1. I feel like this is going to start eating away at itself here in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, and this is obviously a prove-it game for College of Idaho after dropping last week to Montana Tech and a Rocky Mountain squad with a lot of good momentum going their way. It's going to be a Frontier Conference game. It's going to be a brawl. It's going to come down to like the last 3 minutes like it always does. But there's a lot of, I feel like with all these close ones, there's a lot at stake, especially the Frontier. Being able to separate yourself off the bat from the rest of the pack is super important.
And another one that I'm going to bring up here real quick is 4-0 overall, 2-0 Frontier Carroll College versus 1-2 overall, 0-1 MSU Northern. MSU Northern has played teams really tough this year. And so while Carroll should win this one, it's definitely one where an improved look. We saw Southern Oregon, a 1-2 Southern Oregon, give Montana Western all they doggone well wanted, with Montana Western winning that one late on what amounted to basically a walk-off touchdown. Watch out for MSU Northern. They might give Carroll a little fit. We'll see.
We'll certainly see.
The next one up is receiving votes Mid-American Nazarene and receiving votes Graceland. This is a heart matchup that man, it's let's take a look at the standings for them. For Graceland, it's a playout game. If you don't win this one, you're you're going to have a tough time going forward. This is actually not a conference game. It's a crossover game, so this is not going to actually hurt Graceland any. It drives me nuts that cross-divisional games aren't counted as conference games. They're in the same conference.
Yeah. Yeah, but obviously they have to take on a very, very good Mid-America Nazarene squad that I feel like has flown under the radar for a good chunk of this season.
They're 4-1.
As they did, yeah, and they did the same thing last year to us too, I feel like. So I don't know. Graceland has to rebound, pick themselves up pretty quickly because Mid-America Nazarene's coming, and they'll be ready for this one.
Yeah, Mid-America has wins at Langston, at Peru State in the Oak Bowl, and at home against William Penn. They dropped one at home against Grandview, a 24-7 score, which
that's
as compared
solid
to the 70-7 that we just saw,
it's pretty good.
Yeah,
all things considered.
That'll do. Oh, and a 27-24 win against Clark, which was a fantastic game, by the way. That was a fun one to keep up with. But your next next two games over the next 3 weeks at Graceland, at Baker, for Mid-America Nazarene, this is do or die here to get up into the top end of the heart. We'll see if we have to fear the near or not. And then the last one I've been waiting on. This is where the rubber starts to meet the road. Bethel at Cumberland's. Bethel over the next 2 weeks is going to get Cumberland's and Georgetown. So
yeah,
if you're going to pick your spot, you better be doing good over these next 2 weeks and take it 1 week at a time and make sure that you dispatch each of these teams, because either one of them can bite you.
Yeah, 100%. And this Bethel team, if you thought I was high on Georgetown, I am much higher on Bethel. This is my consistently second best team in the country behind Morningside right now in my poll. Really like what they're doing and who they bring back. And this is a scary Bethel team that really cannot afford to sleepwalk into a hostile environment at Cumberland's.
You do mean other than Northwestern?
Well, yeah, but that's a given,
Yeah, you said Morningside. I'm like going. I think that was think there's a little bit of a Freudian slip there.
Yeah, whoops. I'm so used to saying it.
I know.
Here we are.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I am too. Bethel has been my number 2 team, I think, all season. I can even go back to my initial poll, and I can confirm that for sure.
Great minds think alike, Corey.
Yeah, Bethel was my number 2 team entering the season, and has not departed from that spot. I'm super, super high on what they've got. Joaquin Collazo is such a beast, is running the system. Mike Jasper has his guys in place. It's taken a little bit for Big Shout out Mike to really get it rolling, but last year and this year have been phenomenal, and I feel like they're playing with a chip on their shoulder too. They'll get to show it over the next couple of weeks. Y'all drop your comments in the chat. We'll get to them here in just a second. Comments are my second favorite part of the live show, because of course my first is our patrons. Love our patrons. They're the best. They keep us going day to day, month to month. If you want to help us in our coverage of NAIA football, this is honestly the best way to do it. We only ask for $1 a month. I'm not even sure if that'll buy you a cheeseburger at McDonald's most days. So our patrons are DSU Cone, Darren, Bob Boone, Roger Meyer, Jeremy Vauble, Shirley LaBella, Fred Christensen, Jerry Quickle, Ace Wellen, Marty Seabolt, Justin Cobb, Nick Ryan, Hayden Freno, Kyle Gregory, Tyler Pierce, Justin Hoffman, Steve Speakman, Brian Shake, Julianne Shager, Nate Soapbeer, Stephen Cutler, Julie Lout, Tim Burrow, Dale Norton, Nathan Moore, Dylan Gonzalez, Ryan, Jason Crawford, Zach Ryherd, and Dustin Wilkie. I know Zach is excited because his team was within 2 scores of beating the Gators over at
The
Charlotte.
Gators.
The Gators.
They
And
certainly were. It was. I actually texted him about the one-armed catch that went viral from that game. I was like, how was that watching live in person? He said it wasn't fun, but it was also kind of cool at the same time.
I gotta tell you, as a Florida State fan, I love any time the Gators struggle with a team in the group of 5. It does my heart good.
Yeah, that's fair. Got to respect Biff Poggi though, and those Charlotte 49ers, man.
Heck yeah, they're doing some good work over there, honestly. But yeah, let's see. Don't see any comments. I'm gonna go over some of the other ones that we didn't get to, like the matchups that I'm actually really looking forward to that aren't really on the radar. Montana Tech, Southern Oregon. Southern Oregon gave Western fits at Montana Western. This could be a trap game here for Tech.
Yeah, I could see it. I think that Southern Oregon team is a lot better than people are giving them credit for. Obviously, they've fallen a bit since their glory days, but they're still a very competitive football team. Can never really count them out.
Dordt at Hastings seems like a bit of a trap game as well. I'm not sure who Dordt plays after this. Probably should go look that up.
Here's the
Midland.
thing about Hastings. Hastings lost to Briarcliff in a pretty horrific fashion. So I don't know. Like, yes, Hastings is good, and I can't really talk because D-Dub's only losses to Hastings, but wasn't super impressed with them last week. They're both talented squads. I just think Dordt is that good this year.
Yeah, I do too, and this will be a good test for them to see if they can pass it.
Totally.
Dickinson State at Valley City State. Now, Dickinson handled Waldorf handily last week, despite having to probably wear floaties to play the second half because their football stadium had turned into a swimming pool. Did you see that picture?
I did not.
Oh my gosh.
Flooded?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
It was they had like 4.5 hours of delays. God bless them. God bless them. But Dickinson State plays at Valley City. You've got between Dickinson's head coach and Valley City's head coach, you've got like 60 years of head coaching experience at the two schools themselves. This is the big one, and honestly, go pull up the North Star ranking. They're the North Star standings. This honestly could just about put it away for Dickinson, honestly, in week 5, which is nuts.
That's
standings.
That's wild. I'd like to put another game on your radar here.
Oh, geez.
Cory.
I'm gonna make my way down there.
Are you sure? You don't want to talk about it now?
While we're on the subject of rivalries, we'll get to that one. But Dickinson State and Valley City are both 2-0 in conference. Waldorf's a game behind. Yeah, I mean this puts Dickinson with basically 2 games up on each because of the tiebreaker. This will very nearly, honestly, clinch the North Star in week 6.
That's crazy.
It is a little nuts.
Yeah.
And then we get this game. Dakota Wesleyan at Mount Marty. I knew where you were going with this. Your hatred for Mount Marty is well known.
Yes. Sorry to the Mount Marty listeners out there. I just, rival school. Gotta flaunt that. So a Dakota Wesleyan team that is 4-1, Cory, and won on the road last week at Concordia, place they usually don't win at. And Mount Marty, I think that 2-3 record is honestly a bit misleading. They just got done playing the gauntlet of Dordt, Morningside, and Northwestern back to back to back.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Back to back. to back. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
We'll go with it.
Yeah. And I think this Mount Marty team is good. I really hate to say it, but they are good and they have talent. And it is about that point in the program where they're far enough along to where they've developed guys and they're getting new recruits in and all that. So it's certainly going to be a good one in Yankton, and it's a night game, so that's pretty
Ooh.
sweet.
So here's the
Yeah.
GPAC standings. Morningside, Northwestern, and Dort are all 3-0 in conference. Dakota Wesleyan stands alone in effectively fourth place, but one game back of the leaders at 3-1. Then you have Hastings and Midland at 2-2, and Briarcliff at 1-2. Three teams at 1-3, and then Doane at 0-4. This is a place where Dakota Wesleyan has not found itself with any sort of regularity.
No. I can only imagine, and here's the thing, I can only imagine the conversations they're having, because those weren't conversations I have ever been a part of when I played for that team. So they're in rarefied air and they have good momentum going, and this is a great way to keep it going because you obviously still need to get through Dort and Northwestern and Morningside later in the year. So you need to win as many as possible this early.
Win against Mount Marty guarantees Dakota Wesleyan to have, at worst, a 500 season record.
It's about right.
That
And
is, that's saying something for DW.
yeah, that's extremely impressive. And the last time they had a record akin to that, it was 2017, Corey.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute, but they are in prime position. They clearly have the talent to do it. And I know I got to ride for my guys, but this is a team that I am actually really excited to see how the rest of the season shakes out.
It's going to be really interesting. And your schedule actually does you some really nice favors because that first weekend of October is a bye. And then you play Morningside at home, a team where Dakota Wesleyan has sometimes found ways to play above their heads a little bit against the Mustangs.
Yeah, it's a weird dynamic, but it is. Even the seasons I played there the last 4 years, like you kind of stick with Morningside a little bit. And hey, if there's a year that they are going to be down enough to get a knockout blow at, it would probably be this year, considering some of the, I don't want to say woes because they're still the third best team in the country, but some problems, I guess. So yeah, I don't know. It's exciting times to be in Mitchell, South Dakota, Corey.
I bet it is. I bet that your former teammates are absolutely ecstatic right now. And
Yeah,
really,
most
honestly,
definitely.
that's going to be the first or the next big test for Morningside. They play Doane this week, which we've already talked about is bottom of the conference. They host Concordia, Nebraska, and then they have to go play at Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
And
hostile environment that place is.
If you say so. I've never been.
Yeah, you should go. It's a fun time. You should take a visit with me for homecoming next year.
That would be a blast. I don't even know how I would get to Mitchell from Tallahassee, honestly. I'd probably have to wait a week for my flight back.
Probably.
But I'm looking forward to this week. It's going to be a good week. Kaiser plays Thomas. I expect. You know what? I will stick up for my Nighthawks. They did not get their butts absolutely obliterated versus Bethel. I was darn proud of them keeping Bethel underneath 50 and actually scoring points.
Yep.
I was dang proud of the Nighthawks. Hey, we'll see. I mean, put Ave Maria on notice, get past
Yeah.
Warner Weber, and you're talking about a nice season for an opening for an inaugural year team.
My dark horse, if you will recall, Corey,
Yes.
hasn't technically bit me yet, but we're also not far enough into the season for that to not be the case. So
They were talking on Sagu's broadcast how no one anticipated these Louisiana Christian Wildcats, and I went,
hello.
"Hi, we
Hey, we're
did.
here.
Hey, it's me." Yeah. I mean, they were both of our dark horses in the Sooner. I mean, we completely saw this coming. With what they've had coming back, Sal Palermo has been phenomenal, both in the running game and the passing game for LC. That's just been such a fun match, such a fun team to watch. There's a lot of fun teams to watch this year. We're really, really lucky to get to watch this level of football and intrigue every week. It could be where you have, 10 to 15 just top romping teams that are just kicking tail and taking names, but that's not what's happening. It's been a fun season.
There's a lot of parity, and I don't want to say that it's wide open, but it feels the most competitive the NAI has been in a while.
Yeah, it definitely is. But until then, we will see y'all next week. For Matt Schwartzler, I am Corey Thorpe, and we will see you on the social media.